Good evening, YouTubers, fellow reloaders. Reloading Bench back with you once again, and this is actually going to be a reloading video, or rather a reloading content-based video, simply because I am out of old Craftsman tool restoration projects. I am done. So this is actually months and months in the making, because it started with this. I've lost track of how many months ago this was. Consider it earlier this year. So we're in, May? So much earlier this year. It might have even been last year, late last year. Can't remember. Anyway, my son and I were at the range, and we were shooting. We were not shooting this, but the gentlemen next to us were. And they were pulling, obviously, brass, commercial brass out of the box, and their commercial ammo out of the box, shooting it, and then as it was bolt action as they were flying on the ground, you know, during the ceasefires. They weren't picking it up quickly or with any attention to detail. And I thought, what is that? Strange enough shape. My first thought was, hey, is that 308? And because it's a very similar size cartridge to 308, but it is not 308. Those of you who are familiar with 308 can probably guess what this little bit slightly different cartridge is, and this is the mighty popular 6.5 Creedmoor, or 6.5 Creedmoor, or 6.5, or 6.5 CR, or whatever you want to call Creedmoor. And I had told myself, no need. You know, we shoot 308, and I have absolutely no desire to get into 6.5 Creedmoor. We don't own anything in this caliber, so why bother? Ha ha ha. So by the end of the day, the guys next to us had gone through. This is what they gave us. They're like, hey, you want it? Go ahead, grab it. And I'm like, you know, my perspective on brass is you never know what you never know, and you know, why not pick it up and save it for a rainy day, because you don't know what that rainy day will bring you or when it will bring you. And we've had this brass. I took it home, cleaned it, and we've had it, like I said, months and months and months, and didn't kind of give it a second thought. And I thought, okay, so we have some 6.5 Creedmoor, so what? Again, zero desire to get into this caliber. Less than zero. Fast forward, yeah, this was definitely a long time ago, because fast forward another couple months. And let me switch stuff. Obviously, there's a big box on my bench, and I decided not to move the camera. This box is 2 feet long, or 2 feet wide. 8.5 inches tall, 10.5 inches wide. So it's a rather large box. And part of this box is because I was watching some stuff through the... actually, I can't say that word. I was watching stuff off and on through the cough for the longest period of time. So I'm doing a very slow unboxing here. And part of it was stuff that wasn't available during the cough, because everybody was trying to pick this hobby up during the cough. Let's see if that will clear the camera. Yes, it will. Oh, it won't clear. So I had had my eye. That's funny. So obviously that came damage from the factory, not from shipping. I always find that funny when factory F's things up. And for those of you who know my fancy for Lee, they'd be like, oh God, not another Lee video. Yes, another Lee components video. So I had been watching, and those of you who also know my Lee gear is old, and I am perfectly fine with that. However, my old Lee gear might not be so wonderful for my son. So this is my son who doesn't watch my videos, this is my son, my adult son's Christmas present that I picked up a couple months ago, simply because, again, I'd been watching this for years, like probably a year and a half, when everything was just unavailable, unobtainium, and specifically this configuration, this caliber, this everything. So we'll get to this in a second, but since there's easier stuff to unload, or because of how things are boxed, I decided, given my newfound brass friend, that I would have to have a playmate for said new friend. And if you get a bunch of dies for your old turret, Lee Classic turret, you're going to need a turret 4-hole quick change plate. Move those out of the way a little bit. And if you're going to play with this, you probably need some of that. Maybe enough to keep you busy a little while. So, as you can guess, this box has nothing to do with this stuff. But I took the opportunity to cash in my birthday credit. Okay, so I know exactly when I ordered this because I just reminded myself. This was early February, March, April, May. So this was 3 months ago because I got my birthday discount from Midway, which I love, and I'm grateful they still do that. So considering the price of all of this stuff normally, and then with my birthday discount, I think it's a 10% discount. I don't honestly know. Not huge, but when you put a bunch of stuff in and all of it qualifies for a discount, that helps. So let me pull this out, because if I try and pull this out with the camera, maybe. Let me see. Let's see if I can do this without smacking the camera. All right, let me move this box. All right, so this is a Lee Pro 4000, which is I'll call it a newer version of the old progressive from Lee that nobody really liked. I can't remember what the model numbers were. Everybody trashed and hated them. I think that was what gave Lee progressives well, I'll call it a black eye. Fully progressive press includes everything you need to start. Color-coded breech lock bushings for easy die identification. Lee 3-die reloading set with a die wrench. Automatic case feeder. Roller handle with hardwood grip. Automatic case charging with auto drum powder measure. Caliber change wrenches. Large and small safety primer. And through ram primer disposal tube. So I would call this and here's another shot of stuff it includes, and then all of the different shell plates available for this particular configuration. And I think there's a cute color, and because of the tightness of my bench, nice cute color picture, which I'm sure you've seen online. But to me, this is what I would call a refresh, best of a number of worlds. I've again watched Lee for the last about 12 years, and I started with the Lee Classic turret. I've got a number of those, and I've got a number of their single stage that I did for my 416. What did I do with the brass? And now you're saying, well, you kind of work backwards. So you bought, or rather you found these, and then you bought these. And you just said you don't have anything in the caliber of 6.5 Creedmoor. Well, that's a correct statement until recently. So again, this was all boxed, and I probably wasn't even going to unbox this stuff anytime soon. Again, it's been sitting on the shelf since early February. So roughly 3 months sitting on the shelf again. Since it's a Christmas present, don't need to worry about it for, you know, how many more months? 7 more months. And I was at a Sportsman's Warehouse. I won't call it local because it's about an hour away. We were visiting and just stopped in to see what powders they had. And they did have powders. And their powders were about $45 a pound. $42 to $45 a pound. I think it was like 41, $42.95, $44.95, depending on what you wanted. Probably about 7 or 8 different varieties, which was nice to see. And they had a boatload of primers all across the board, CCI primers in every size, even the bench rest stuff, the BRs. But you're only allowed 2 packages being the 100 primer sleeves. So you couldn't buy a brick, but you could buy 2 of the small 100-piece sleeves, 100-unit sleeves. And the pricing was kind of funny because for small rifle, it was $5.56. 5.56. I thought that was kind of cute, which is about double. You know, it's better than, you know, what I've seen where people were charging, you know, the equivalent of, you know, 1,000 primers were, you know, $120, so 12 cents a primer. Whereas 5.56 is, you know, roughly 5.5 cents a primer, which again, it's about double, which is both good and bad. Bad in the sense that, yeah, who wants to pay double, but good in the sense that it's better than, you know, 12 cents a primer. So obviously things are getting better. Supply is starting to return, but not quite there. So while I was at Sportsman's Warehouse and looking around at their interesting selection, and again, things are coming back on the Pew Pew side as well, I said, hey, do you have anything in 6.5 Creedmoor? Oh, we got lots of stuff in 6.5 Creedmoor. So I looked at a couple rifles, and I think started with a Browning and one of their BARs, and actually, was this yeah, no, this was a Bolt. So it was, it felt okay. The price was, you know, not bad. And then I said, you have anything a little more tactical? I think I even said tactical instead of tactical. And he pulled out a Benelli Lupo. And as soon as I racked the bolt, I'm like, wow, that's it. I like it. It's got a cool, what I took cool to me design. Price was not bad. It's a big box shop, so they don't get to gouge like some of the smaller shops. So essentially MSRP-ish, maybe a little bit less. And so put that in the shopping cart. Obviously, there's the waiting period. But so now I'm going backwards, because usually you pick up some type of pew-pew, some type of firearm, and then you get all this stuff. This is the first time I've ever done it in reverse, where we started with the brass and had no idea where we were going to go, and have worked backwards to completing the 6.5 Creedmoor Circle of Life. So now I will spend probably a handful of videos on our 6.5 Creedmoor journey with the Benelli Lupo, which then means that Lupo needs glass. So we're going to look at what we're going to do for glass and other accessories, and no hurry, which is part of the beauty of this hobby. But trying to find this stuff a year and a half ago would have been probably, again, unobtainium. So now that dyes are readily available, and again, for the people who bash Lee dyes, you know, shame on you. There's nothing wrong with them. If you want to pay more for what you perceive as better quality, other features, that's fine. You know, I'm not getting a micro setting, a dye seating setting on my dyes, but I also stay pretty consistent, so I'm kind of set it and forget it. So I will stay with the 140 grain 6.5 Creedmoor, or the 6.5 millimeter for the 6.5 Creedmoor cartridge. So I'll stick with 140 grain, which based on my poking around online seems to be middle of the road, kind of like what I've done with 223 for 55 and 77, depending on barrel twist rate, and you know, like for 30 caliber, 308, 30-06 kind of thing, that has been 150 grain bullet. So I like to find a sweet spot that goes across. Obviously, this is not going to go across any other cartridges, or rather, this won't go across any other cartridges. This may go across different firearms, but we'll see how this goes. So there'll be some videos or a series on the journey now with 6.5 Creedmoor and what that beholds, or rather what that holds. The behold, once we find out what it holds. So more to come.